everyone, Jess with Emotional Fire Academy today to talk about reacting versus responding and how to take our power back as highly sensitive people. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see new videos every week in regards to what it's like to be a highly sensitive person and some cool tips and tools to up level as an HSP. Who am I? I am Jess. I am your driver operator on this journey. I'm a former firefighter and now an emotion coach, and I help highly sensitive people evolve to the next level. So this is going to get kind of esoteric today. So I'm kind of talking about quantum physics, which is one of my interests, and being highly sensitive and emotions, which are all my interests. So stay tuned to the end. Make it to the end because I have a really cool idea I want to share with you. So let's dive right in. So, reacting versus responding. This is something I have been thinking about for a long time, and I'm really excited to share with all of you my thoughts on this. We're going to get pretty deep. Now, you might have heard a lot about other teachers saying, reacting is, you shouldn't react, you should only respond. And I'm here to kind of delve deeper into the actual physics of that and why we should do that and how that helps us, how that helps empower us as not only as highly sensitive people, but as people in general. And this is especially relevant for highly sensitive people because emotionality is one of our traits. And so experiencing chronic emotions, constantly changing emotions, we can then shift our outcomes when we start to have these bigger ahas about what is going on a bigger level. So and these are more advanced emotional practices that I'm sharing with you today. So let's dive right in, shall we? So reacting. Reacting, I would define as having an automatic response to something. Typically, it is amygdala based. Amygdala is the part of our brain that is based in fight or flight response. This is not to demonize the amygdala, this is a very important part of our brain. Obviously, we don't have time to think about responding to something when there's a tiger chasing us or we need to react quickly, right? The amygdala is awesome for that, and science has actually found that it responds even before our conscious mind does. So our amygdala is a few seconds ahead of where we are. It already sees things coming, it knows what's happening, and it gets us ready to, pumps blood into our veins to either run or fight. And so this is a very important kind of reflexive part of our brain. And it only becomes maybe not serving for us when we exclusively rely on it, or we find ourselves going into constantly the same emotion, either anger or sadness, when things happen to us. So the amygdala is typically just based in fight or flight, and even this is the response of the amygdala is highly reflexive, right? And this is based on our learning. When we were a child, we saw our parents getting upset. We saw other adults getting upset. This is what upset looks like. This is what negative emotion looks like. So we learned these emotional responses that act out from the amygdala. These are amygdala responses. This is a conditioned-based response. It's a very automatic response to something. So when the world works on you and you have a response to it, you are affected by it emotionally and you react, you have a very limited choice, right? You're limited to what you've done in the past because there's no creative faculty to the amygdala. It just is like, okay, fight or run, go, fight or run. So there's a limited amount of options. It's kind of black and white. It's very binary, right? Run or fight. Both of them are somewhat aggressive. And so that's kind of what a reaction is, right? And this, again, it doesn't take a lot of energy. It's an automatic process. We go into it, we embody it, we become it, we get upset, we either run or we fight, and then it's done. Problem solved, right? So going over to responding, let's contrast that to responding, because if we really want to be powerful, if we want to create our lives, if we want to be different than we have been, if we want to take control of our emotions and start having them work for us instead of being victimized by our emotions, we want to start moving into the response category of an emotional, cause and effect. So the responding looks and feels more like, it comes from a different part of the brain. First of all, it comes from the prefrontal cortex, which is obviously the front of your brain. It is a different layer of your brain. It is, its evolution came last in the evolution of the brain and its layers. And so this is based in more theoretical, imaginative, higher functioning processes that take a lot more energy. These take a lot of energy. Obviously, imagining, visualizing is a lot more energetically consuming, like literally, calorically, than just running away or, doing something that's very automatic that your body's just like, yep, got this, done. You don't have to think about it. Your body doesn't have to think about it. It just does it. That's reacting. Responding, obviously, is more imaginative, creative, and thus limitless, because when you use your prefrontal cortex, so say something has happened in your sphere, if you move into your prefrontal cortex instead, you then open up your choices of reaction. You can imagine, this, instead of just this happened to me, this is what I can then do. This is how I can respond, in accordance with whatever happened. It's a much more expansive position to be in. There's way more options, right? Reacting is black and white. Responding is gray. It's all the shades of gray. It's the many flavors, almost infinite amount of responses that you can have. Obviously, not all of them may be appropriate to whatever your goal is, or your how you want the outcome to be. But you have a way, 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 way bigger palette to paint from then, to create then your reality. Because what happens is our emotions, our thoughts, our feelings, our actions are how we interact with reality. It's the dance that we're doing with our perceived reality. It's how we're creating ourselves in our own reality, right? They say, I think, therefore I am. I feel, therefore I am. I emote, therefore I am. How I am being, that's our beingness that we're actually creating. We are creating it, and we have way more ability to affect how we are being in our reality and in the bigger reality than we know. We may not even be aware, and I wasn't aware initially. When I was younger, when I was a kid, I just reacted. I didn't know that there was a greater amount of options available to me to respond, to show up in response to something that occurred, or something that I perceived happened, or an action that was taken that I was then interpreting. And so I didn't know the difference, and that's okay. That's okay. Like, no one teaches us this stuff. So this is kind of the difference. And when we talk about taking our power back as highly sensitive people, if we want to step into a more powerful place as to how we are being, how we are showing up in our reality, then we want to move into the responding instead of reacting. Because responding is much more creative. Like I said, it's limitless. There are an infinite number of emotions then that you can display. There are an infinite number of actions you can take. There are an infinite number of solutions. It's almost, victim mentality versus hero mentality. That's, again, the difference between that. And it expands our world so much and gives us so much power that we step into what I consider the realm of being superhuman. Right? Let's take, for instance, let's say someone gets caught, someone we love a tree falls on them. And instead of, if we were to react, we might start to scream, get upset, yell for help. We would just have a meltdown. We would react. We would react with fear, panic, worry, feeling helpless, feeling victimized. Oh my God, just complete inability to then do anything. If we were responding, if we step into that, it's not only an energy, but it's actually part of your brain. So it's part of your brain that you're then moving into and saying, I'm acting from this part of my brain. So it's a different set of neurons. But it's also an energy of embodying a persona, an energy, stepping into that hero of like anything is possible. And that's when people do really incredible superhuman things, like lift that damn tree off of the person they love. Because the potential, right, when you're thinking from that limitless place, there is much more available to you that you have access to, right? You almost are able to step out of yourself and into states of superhuman potential where then you can do anything. And this is when, people lift cars off of their loved ones. People jump into the river and dive to the bottom and save someone and do things that are considered beyond our normal everyday potential as human beings. And so this is this is how we claim our power, is when we, like I said, when we step into response mode as opposed to reaction. And it's okay. We have to, when we're starting to practice this, we have to remember to be easy on ourselves. Reactions are obviously conditioned. They're automatic. They come up. And it takes about 20 minutes for the amygdala to cool down, to cool its jets. So if it's not an emergency situation, it's okay to give yourself that 20 minutes to be like, this might have been my initial reaction, but it doesn't have to be my ultimate response to this situation. So, and I'd like to share this really interesting concept of 0 and 1 point reality. And I credit this to Randy Weitenheimer. I first heard this idea and I've been thinking about it from him, and I kind of want to explain it a little more as how this pertains to reacting versus responding and potentially the quantum physics behind this, right? The energetics behind it, what is happening when we're choosing either one of those. So our personal reality is the one. It's kind of this loose circle. We're standing in the middle of our own reality. This is when we say our reality, the 1 point reality, it's what we are aware of. It's what we perceive. It's what we know in our own sphere, right? It's our sphere of influence of our reality, right? What is happening within our reality that we're aware of, that we interact with, that we pay attention to. It's our slice of reality. And that it is overlaid upon 0 point reality. 0 point reality is everything, right? 0 point reality is everything within and beyond your reality. So, which includes any possibility, right? Multiple dimensions, the choice points between, however physics allows and actually exists beyond what we perceive is all included, right? It's infinite. It just continues out. It's other worlds, it's other humans, it's other creatures, it's other possibilities, it's everything that's beyond us that exists. And maybe even the creative potential for anything to exist, right? Because we know that our observation of an object, of an event, affects the outcome. This has been proven by science, and that when we observe something, we change the outcome. So our little sphere of influence, the 1 point reality, is overlaid on top of this larger reality. And when the stories that we tell about ourselves, how we create ourselves in the world, is included in our little sphere. And so when we want to change our outcomes, when we want to become more than ourselves, when we want to start affecting the world differently and interacting with the world differently, we want kind of this very loose boundary to expand. We want it to get bigger or even dissolve. And so when we're reacting, we're almost contracting that reality, right? We're limiting ourselves to certain responses and ending up in this Groundhog Day of just doing the same things over and over again and making this very small and just kind of reinforcing this like, it's almost like contracting the boundary, making it smaller, and really delineating between this is all I have available to me. That's all you see because it's in your sphere, right? It's only about 10% of what we perceive with our senses that we actually notice and integrate into ourselves. 10%. There's all the millions of bits of data that is actually there that we're not perceiving. That's part of the 0 point reality, right? It's there. We can't see it. We can't hear it. We can't smell it. We can't taste it because of our predictive nature of the stories that we're telling about who we are, ourselves. I am this. I get angry when this happens to me, or I'm just a woman. What can I do? Or I'm just a man. I'm just a human being. These kind of self-deflating stories that keep that reality really tiny. So we want to start dissolving this and expanding our 1 point reality into 0 point. We want to start breaking down right? When we say limiting beliefs, that's literally what they are. They're keeping us in that circle. We want to eliminate those so that we ultimately realize I am part of 0 reality. I have access to 0 reality, which means I have access to limitless potentials. I have access to limitless responses. I have access to limitless outcomes of a situation. And it's only dictated by what I think and feel and believe about myself, about my own world, about how small or big my world is. If I which one feels better? Like, oh, this person stole my car. This person stole my car. Thinking that, believing that, and then this string of, reactive thoughts, being upset, feeling like the car's never going to come back, that it's finished, it's final, it's done, this great sense of loss that we feel versus what would a response look like? Anything is possible. Anything is possible. Maybe the police will find my car. Maybe my car broke down a mile from where I live when this person was stealing it, right? And just in allowing those other possibilities to exist, it then widens our sphere of perception and actually allows that 0 point reality to then come into existence. Because if we don't think it's possible, then we're correct. If we do think it's possible, then we're correct, right? Whatever we think and believe is how we're predicting the world, how we're taking in the information from our senses, and then creating. And so when we want to start moving into and expanding our 1 point reality and integrating it into 0 point reality. So let me know what you thought of this video. What did you think? Did this make sense? How are you going to start? Oh, so before I go, a quick way to delineate, to figure out, okay, what reality am I in? And where am I operating from? 1 or 0 point reality? We ask ourselves, does this situation feel very black or white? Does it feel very binary to me, right? And if the answer is yes, then we're typically in an amygdala response. If we can move into a place of imagining more than just a yes or no, a 0 or a 1, if we can, a black or white, if we can imagine more, if we can be like, anything is possible and actually believe that and open ourselves up to that, then that is what becomes available to us as far as outcomes, right? Because we want amazing outcomes. We want outcomes that are coming from the 0 point reality, not the same old crap we've been getting in 1 point reality. We don't want that. We want to win the lottery. We want the love of our lives. We want, amazing things that happen to us and exciting things and spontaneous things. And that all exists outside in 0 point. And so the more we can break down this barrier and integrate those, the more power we have, the more exciting things show up in our lives, the more emotional versatility we have, and the more power we have as highly sensitive creators. So leave a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this. If you are a highly sensitive person who is not enjoying life right now, check out my website, emotionalfireacademy.com. I have an excellent flammable to fireproof program that will help you become a highly sensitive hotshot and mesh into 0 point reality where anything is possible and you are a creator of your world instead of a victim of it, because this sucks being a victim. I've been there, done that, over it. Yeah, I'm in 0. Give me the 0. So anyway, I hope this made sense. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to everybody later.